what the event was about, I was genuinely excited to be the MC. Two things very near and dear to my heart are the village of Lansing and the idea of serving this community. The people being honored here this evening are truly deserving of this recognition. I attended a baseball coaching clinic about 2 weeks ago, and White Sox pitching coach Don Cooper was there, and he said something that kind of stuck in my head that I wanted to share this evening. He was discussing all of the coaches that had volunteered to show up that night and try and get some more information to work with kids in various youth groups, etc. And he said that the most important thing that one human being can give to another is their time. And it kind of stuck in my head as symbolic of what we were talking about this evening. When you look at the names of our honorees and you think about how much of their time that they have given to others, you can really see how true this statement is. In preparing for tonight, I really wanted a definition of the word volunteer that stood out as meaningful. And I did find one in a study that was called By the People, A History of Americans as Volunteers. And it reads as follows: to volunteer is to choose to act in recognition of a need, with an attitude of social responsibility, without concern for monetary profit, going beyond what is necessary to one's physical well-being. And as we recognize all these special individuals tonight, this definition can be most aptly applied to each and every man and woman that we are honoring. With that being said, it's time to begin, and if you'll pardon my baseball terminology, the introduction of tonight's all-star team. The planning for tonight's event was spearheaded by the Lansing Volunteer Recognition Committee. And here tonight to introduce the members of the committee is a man who has dedicated countless hours to volunteer causes in Lansing. And even this week, my sources tell me, Dan was volunteering at the Lansing Youth Center, where he was soundly beaten in a game of billiards by a junior high girl. Now this is in addition to the regular beatings that his wife puts on him on the family foosball table. So I have scheduled a visit to several of the kindergarten classes in Lansing for Dan next week, where he'll be challenging some girls in games of chutes and ladders. And if you're headed to Vegas this weekend, my money would be on the girls. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the mayor of Lansing, my good friend Dan Podgorski.
You know, I found out this past Tuesday night at the village board meeting, I knew that I was going over to the youth center on Wednesday to do the celebrity pool tournament, celebrity pool challenge, and I knew when I looked at the calendar on Tuesday at the board meeting, I knew that when I was playing along with celebrity, former trustee and current 158 school board member Patty Leach, I knew that whatever happened that night would make its way throughout the community very, very quickly. But if I have to go to Oakland and play chutes and ladders to win, darn it, that's what I'm going to do. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I just want to start by saying right away that the spirit of Lansing is in this room. The spirit of Lansing is alive and well in this room tonight, and our sense of community, everything that we love about this town is why we're here tonight. I can't tell you how many times in the past 6 years or so that I've been mayor, that I've come across people who maybe have been considering moving out of Lansing because of the so-called demise of Lansing and some of the other south suburbs. Whether it be the fact that there's newer towns with newer and bigger houses being built, or because some of the old guard has moved out of Lansing and some of the new guard has moved in and they don't know them. And I always look at people like that and I say, you know what, I really don't care who moves into my town, as long as they feel the same way about this town that I do. Because I think the people that are moving into this town, they're moving in for the same reasons that I'm staying here. Because they see the opportunities to volunteer, they see opportunities in Lansing, whether it's good schools, churches, parks, a good business community. They're moving here for the same reasons I'm staying here. And I can't wait to see a night like this continue to evolve in the years to come, because it's the spirit of Lansing and the sense of community that makes this town work. And again, a pleasure for me to be here tonight. I am here tonight, as Ken said, to introduce the volunteer committee. and I'd like to do so and just give you a little bit of background. A few months ago, a group of these residents got together to start what they hope becomes an annual tradition for the Village of Lansing. The purpose of this committee was to celebrate one of the things that contributes to making the Village of Lansing a special community, and that, of course, is its volunteers. There's numerous groups throughout this village that harness the power of volunteers to accomplish great things. The volunteers most often go unnoticed, and they carry on their work for the simple sake of their particular interest, conviction, or passion. These volunteers work with no monetary compensation or grand fanfare, but they make great contributions to the community. And if you've ever heard me speak at any one of these community events, whether I've been at a Lansing Lions meeting, whether I've been addressing the Rotary, Golden K Kiwanis, there's been lots of Lansing groups I've spoken to in the last several years. And if you've ever heard me at one of those, I always sound a very similar theme, and it's that it's your civic clubs, it's your groups, your organizations, your churches, your PTAs, your community groups. That's what keeps this town held together. There is a certain, I call it a social or civic infrastructure that we all form when we get together, when we volunteer. And just because, and you're right, there's a lot of times when the volunteerism, maybe it goes unnoticed, maybe it goes unrewarded, so to speak. But it's that sense of community that it creates, and that's why we keep coming back. And I'll tell you what, don't ever think that your community group, that your volunteerism, don't ever think that it's not worthy, because it is the very fabric that holds this community together. And not only are my hats off to the people that are in this room because your clubs have recognized you, but it's the very essence that you belong to those clubs. That's why we're here tonight. Continuing a little bit, the local groups that you're all a part of, they were asked by this volunteer committee to put forward volunteers from their groups that met the following criteria. Individuals needed to have gone above and beyond the call of duty without great fanfare or recognition or being paid. They had to do so with a big heart that gives of themselves for the betterment of their group, and in the bigger picture, contributes to the entire Village of Lansing, adding value and strength to our quality of life. I'd like to introduce the committee for this year's event, and as I call your name, I'd like to have you all remain standing and you can all be applauded as one group. The chairperson, Carol Ann Sarufka, committee members Norm Abbott, Grace Basilewski, Jan Bremer, June Cole, Patricia Leck, Mike Mano, Nancy Novarita, Kim Pekarski, Don Shakatano, Tina Wedig, Jolene Wood, and Roger Wood. This is your committee, and it's to these people's credit that this night has been pulled off. And I dare say that if this event gets any bigger, we're going to have to find another location to go because it's packed. The committee did a great job tonight. How about a nice round of applause for them? One more thing, on behalf of that committee, they are obviously very happy with the turnout with this year's volunteer honorees, and they wanted me to share that part of the excitement shared by them was learning about each and every honoree and celebrating their efforts for the betterment of the Village of Lansing. Thank you very much, and let's get on with it. And I think, Ken, am I handing this back to you? I am. We'll give it back to Ken.
Thank you, Mayor Podgorski, and please another warm round of applause for your 2007 Lansing Volunteer Recognition Committee. Another driving force behind tonight's program is its sponsor, the Lanark Park Foundation. And here tonight to discuss the foundation's role is a man who also epitomizes what volunteerism is all about here in Lansing. Now, I don't want to say he's been volunteering for a long time, but when they dug up King Tut last week, if you look real closely in the background, you can see Dennis's initials in the wall of the tomb from where he helped construct it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president of the Lanark Park District, Mr. Dennis Flanagan.
come together this evening in living history. We sit here for a first-time event, a wonderful event. And on behalf of the Llano Park Foundation, I would just like to say that when we were first asked to be considered as a sponsor, we came back and said we would be proud to be a sponsor. This is a celebration of volunteers. But let me give you a little background on the Park Foundation. In 1992, the Llano Park District had a concept. And the concept was, how can we engage the citizens of the community to help volunteer and support activities for the Park District? So the Park Board at that time formulated the concept and a shell corporation, so to speak. In 1993, early 1993 then, all of the sitting Park Board members at that time came up with a nominee, if you will, someone known in the community who had a spirit of volunteerism, who was willing to try and take this fledgling foundation and have it grow. So people came together, and on November 7th of 1994, the Llano Park Foundation officially became a 501c3 not-for-profit organization. And also in that year, the Llano Park Foundation hosted the first ever Lansing Hometown Fest at the Lansing Airport, which was a very successful event. The foundation then followed up the next year with another event, another Hometown Fest. And the foundation has sold Krispy Kreme donuts to raise dollars, and ice cream at the Grand Old Fourth Fest. Let me give you a little background of what the foundation's all about. The mission of the foundation is to assist the Llano Park District in providing safe and excellent park and recreational opportunities by enhancing and diversifying its programs while striving to preserve Lansing's heritage and conserve our open space and natural resources to improve the quality of life and well-being for all Lansing residents. And with that mission, the purpose being a charitable purpose of soliciting and collecting funds or property, both real and personal, through grants, donations, bequests, devices, and other types of conveyance for the promotion and benefit of the Llano Park District. And so with this thought of volunteerism in mind, the foundation has worked to raise funds, help provide dollars to establish the skate park there next to the old swimming pool. The foundation has put on, over the past few years, the cruise nights on Ridge Road with the thought that, can we draw people downtown? Can we bring some excitement to what's going on with the bike path, the greenway, and other things that are happening? So that's what the foundation's all about. And I would like you to recognize with a round of applause the foundation members, Dr. Richard Rakova, Ross Leck, Barb and Hank Beanstra. Let's give them a nice round of applause for their volunteers. With the foundation being a volunteer group and a support arm for activities of the Park District, one of the things we've done with the cruise nights is to start to raise dollars so that we can support a scholarship program for the Park District. My example is this. We may have a single mom with one child who certainly can afford to put that child in a program, but if she has two children, she might not be able to help get that second child in. And so the foundation raises dollars to help with some of those costs. That's our Scholarship Foundation program. For the Park District, talking about volunteerism, I would at this time like to introduce the members of the Park Board. Vice President Jim Long, if you would stand, a 12-year volunteer for the Park District. Commissioner Sally Reynolds, a 10-year volunteer for the Park District. Commissioner Pat Leck, a 2-year volunteer for the Park District. And our newest commissioner, John Beamer, who is just a little less than 6 months volunteer. Let's give them all a round of applause. And since I'm new to this, being a park commissioner for over 30 years now, from time to time we've had an occasion where a commissioner would move on, whether they would move out of town, change a job, whatever the case would be. And so we've been fortunate to have other volunteers come forth. Now, there was a time a little over a year ago where we had a commissioner who had an opportunity and moved away to Florida. And we needed someone who was community-minded and also concerned and cared about the park district. Well, there was such a person. And I would like to recognize this person. We needed someone who had background, who knew the park district, who had park district roots. And so it gives me a great deal of pleasure to let you know that in front of God and everybody, Patty Leach, we would like to thank you for your service last year from September of '06 to May of '07 for coming in and helping us support the park district and serving as an interim commissioner. I would like a round of applause for Patty. That's a gotcha. So it's a wonderful night to celebrate. On behalf of the Lano Park Foundation, we certainly are grateful to and thankful for the volunteer committee, all their efforts and their ideas. And again, on behalf of the Lano Park Foundation, we're proud to be here with you and celebrate the volunteers of Lansing. Ken?
Thank you, Dennis, and a special thanks once again to the Lano Park Foundation for sponsoring tonight's festivities. Now it is time to get down to the main reason that we are here tonight. Now the next two gentlemen I want to introduce will be presenting tonight's awards, but before I do bring them up, I'd like to ask your assistance. We have a very distinguished group to recognize, and the volunteer committee is asking your cooperation in giving all the award winners your attention during the program. In that way, we honor all of the individuals separately, but also create a sense of understanding that all of our honorees are collectively helping Lansing be a great place to live. Thank you very much in advance for your cooperation. At this time, I'd like to bring up one gentleman who told me that he would erase all my unpaid parking tickets for appearing here tonight, and another who told me he would let me ride in the front seat of his squad car for a change instead of the usual back seat location. Ladies and gentlemen, your presenters of our awards, Mr. Roger Wood and Mr. Mike Mannell.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. I have to call him Mr. Reynolds because he's a dean. Normally, I would call him Kenny. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Roger Wood. My co-presenter tonight is Mike Mannell. It will be our distinct honor to and pleasure to present the first of many Lansing Volunteer Special Awards. Just so you know before we begin that we are not professional speakers or presenters. We will try very hard not to embarrass any of our participants or ourselves by mispronouncing any of the special guest names. So we've worked on those. That being said, let's begin with our first recipient. And please note that all of our recipients are special volunteers. And we've made and have all made special contributions to our community. So we will be presenting them in alphabetic order by organization, as it would have been too difficult to do it any other way. Our first nomination is by the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 697. Would Dolores Webster please come forward? As she comes up to join us, let me tell you about her. Dolores has been a member of the auxiliary for 29 years. She served as president for 2 years and also volunteers her time for baking, Poppy Day, and anything else she's asked to do. Requesting door prizes from our local businesses was one of her fortes. She can also be found caring for some of her younger friends, visiting them and helping with their needs. Even though her family wants her to slow down, nothing seems to stop our Dolores Webster from volunteering her time and talents to all, but especially to our veterans and friends in need. Thank you, Dolores. Our next nomination comes from the Buford Walker Senior Housing. Our honoree is Richard Doc Wacopa. Doc, would you join us? Doc Wacopa has served as a volunteer secretary on the Senior Housing Board for many years. As a retired optometrist, Doc also works with the Lansing Lions Club to provide optical services for the needy. He's taken numerous trips to Mexico in that endeavor. You can also see Doc working at the food pantry. He's a great volunteer and loves all people. Thanks, Doc. So getting some feedback. I'll move it over a little bit. Our next nomination comes from Camp Quality. And the honoree is Pat Bilfus. Pat, are you out there? Pat has been volunteering at our camps for the past 13 years. She's been our registrar and manages our volunteer office from her home for the past 12 years. She's given so much of herself and wants nothing in return. She's the voice of Camp Quality. Our next nomination comes from Calvin Coolidge, PTA. That person is Lori Crosby. Lori? Lori is the past president and treasurer of our PTA. She has volunteered her talents for the past 11 years. She's been instrumental in numerous projects from start to finish. Lori also volunteers for the Lansing Lions. Last year, she ran a blood drive to benefit those in need. Mike and I are going to trade off at halftime because he's getting all the hugs. I don't know. Our next nomination comes from Friends of the Lansing Public Library, and the honoree is Tarvis Iverson. Tarvis? Tarvis goes way beyond the call of duty as a volunteer of the Friends of the Lansing Library organization. For the past 2 years, he has secured Prudential Care's volunteer grants for our organization. He works many hours in our book sale rooms, sorting, shelving of donated books and materials. His outreach to other organizations in the community promotes awareness of our purpose and the need for contributions to further our mission of supporting the Lansing Public Library. And as you would expect, there are times when we would see the same volunteer for another organization. And we've come across that in this one with Grace Reformed Church and Lansing Meals on Wheels as the nominations for the honoree Anna Mae Bransma. Anna Mae? She's a great cook who's She works in the kitchen at our church to assist with special occasions, funerals, etc. She helps all year at the Ileana Christian High School. She also makes extra food for neighbors, helps at a farm, and brings desserts for Meals on Wheels kitchen volunteers. She always has a smile for all she comes in contact with. Our next nomination comes from Ileana Christian High School. The honoree, Judy Terpstra. Judy? For nearly 2 decades, Judy has been the director of our Career Opportunities Program. This program arranges for career exposures for almost all junior and senior students at Ileana Christian High School. She's thorough, professional, and a visionary in her leadership of this most valued program. It's moving along pretty good. You know, we had talked with Denny before he came up here and gave him 2 minutes. I think he took about 12. The next nomination comes from Lansing Business Women's Association, and the honoree is Jackie Prossman. As Jackie finds her way up here, Jackie has given relentlessly of herself for over 60 years for the betterment of her community, Lansing. She's been active for years as a past president, member of the Chamber of Commerce, Lady Lions, and the board for Buford Walker Senior Housing. She's taught as a Sunday school teacher at our Savior Lutheran Church for many years. Jackie has proven herself to go way beyond with any endeavor that she's taken on, and walks that extra mile to keep Lansing's Ridge Road Business District a great place to shop. She was also the first Athena Award recipient. Thank you, Jackie. This next nomination also comes from the Lansing Business Women's Association, and it's the Athena Award. Many of you have heard of that one from the past. The Lansing Business Women's Association is pleased to be able to present the annual Athena Award this evening with special thanks to our co-sponsors, the First National Bank and North Shore Holdings, for their financial support. Presenting this award is special to the LBWA in continuing the efforts of one of its founding members, Alberta Cantos, who passed away this summer. Athena Award is an international program that seeks to inspire others to achieve excellence. The sculpture is presented to a recipient, male or female, who demonstrates excellence in their business or profession, devotes time and energy to their community in a meaningful way, and generously assists women in attaining their full leadership potential. The 2007 Athena Award recipient is an absolute embodiment of this leadership. After serving in the United States military as a military police officer, she became the first full-time woman police officer paramedic for the village of Lansing, a position historically reserved for men. Her civic mindedness and service turned from fighting crime to political involvement. Prior to becoming a village trustee overseeing the Lansing Airport, she served on various committees with much dedication. She's a co-owner of a business with her husband Bud, a member of the Lansing Chamber of Commerce, a board member of the Success Center, and is a very active member of the Lansing Historical Society. She also organized a group of volunteers to spruce up the grounds of the Veterans Memorial at the airport. She is generous in time, money, commitment, and support with fundraising abilities benefiting a number of our local charitable organizations. The support and assistance, professionalism that she extends to women makes her a true asset to Lansing. Her strong sense of unselfish effort, dedications, and pride make a difference in our community. I'm pleased to present the prestigious Athena Award to Patty Idom. I get it on this time. Now we're going to keep Patty up here because she's another one of those that ends up with 2 awards tonight. The next nomination is by the Lansing Historical Society, and the honoree is Patty Idom. Patty has served as the Vice President and Program Chairperson of the Lansing Historical Society. She spearheaded the Tri-Motor in Plainview project, serving as chair and coordinator of the project by creating a cooperative effort between the village, local businesses and artists, and the school children in the community. From beginning to end, she spent 2 years on the program and raised over $60,000 for restoration of the historic Ford hangar. The results of her efforts will be visible in the community for many years to come. She is always a willing volunteer and when a need is identified. Thank you, Patty. I'm on a roll here. You want to change or not? Okay. Next nomination comes from Lansing Golden K. Kiwanis, and the honoree is Wally Seifert. Wally? At least he gives the guys a hug too. Our next nomination is by the Lansing Junior Women's Club, and the honoree is no other than Joanne Kajuski. As a 35-year member of the LJWC, Joanne has continued her volunteer commitment to our club. She served in most offices and chairmanships in the club, plus participated in every project and fundraiser. She never turns down the opportunity to help another person and to lend her support, whether it is someone from the club, church, school, or community. Joanne is always among the first to offer time, talents, and service. Thank you. Our next nomination comes from the Lansing Lions Club, and the honoree is John Phil Stewart. Phil? Phil has been an active member of the Lions Club for 22 years. He volunteers for each and every club project. Besides all the work he does for the club, you may also see him on the streets. You cut it out. For other community organizations as well. One such organization is Camp Quality, where he volunteers an entire week of his time at the camp to help children with cancer. Thanks. Our next nomination comes from Lansing Rotary Club, and the honoree is Mr. Tim Eriks. Oh, Tim's clearing the back. Look at this. Tim is the past president, current director of the Lansing Rotary Club. He's been the treasurer for Bethel Christian Reformed Church Building Fund for the past 25 years. Tim is a member of the Centerpoint 504 Loan Committee. He also is the director and treasurer for the Community Resources, Inc., the Munster Center for the Performing Arts. He helps disabled adults as a director and treasurer of Best Young Inc. and the Best Young Foundation. Tim also currently serves on the board of directors for the Lansing Chamber of Commerce. Thanks, Tim. Our next nomination comes from the Lansing Youth Center, and the honoree is Alex Poole. Alex. I apologize. I knew Alex wasn't going to be here. I was told that earlier, and I still announced his name. We still need to talk about Alex, even though he couldn't be with us tonight. Alex has been a member of the Youth Center's Builders Club for the past 3 years. The Builders Club is a service project club associated with the Kiwanis International. This year, Alex was the group's top volunteer. Alex participated in service projects at the Youth Center and in the community. Other programs that have benefited from Alex's volunteer work have included LARC, Kiwanis Golden K, Lansing Seniors, Humane Society, Food Pantry, and American Cancer Society. So thank you, Alex, even though you couldn't be here. Our next nomination is from Luther East High School, and the honoree is Mrs. Mary Wilkins. Even though Mary hasn't had a child at Luther East since 1999, she continues to serve on the board of directors as their treasurer. She's a tireless, dedicated volunteer who loves the school and the young people it serves. She has a servant's heart. Thank you. Our next nomination comes from Memorial Junior High School, and the honoree is Steve Morris. Steve? The music department of the Lansing District 158 schools has been supported over the many years by a legion of parent volunteers, our unsung heroes, who have dedicated their time to helping us meet our lofty goals. Steve is one of those volunteers who's gone the second and third miles and beyond in his dedication to serve our programs. He has chaperoned, moved equipment, shuffled uniforms, repaired instruments. In addition, Steve organizes and executes second-to-none recording opportunities for each of our performing groups. Not only was he present at all of our performances so he could capture each quintessential moment for posterity, that's even hard to say, but also edited and produced a master CD from which hundreds of copies have been made and distributed to appreciative families and friends. All of this was done in the most unassuming manner without calling attention to the project. Thanks, Steve. Now, you want my job? The next nomination comes from Oak Glen School, PTA. The honoree, Carrie Seymour. Carrie is serving as PTA president and is the chairperson for our fundraising, yearbook, Candlelight Bowl, PTA Reflections Contest, and Box Tops for Education. She is also a room mother and spends countless hours volunteering her time for the benefit of all Oak Glen students. Next nomination is from the W.C. Revis School, and the honoree is Barbara Gaffney. Barbara? Barbara has volunteered at the Revis Elementary School for the past 20 plus years. She served as an office helper, PTA parent, and LRC volunteer. She often volunteers to read to students in the classroom. She's a true asset to the Revis School as a community parent volunteer. Thank you. Our next nomination is from St. Anne's Church, and the honoree is Jeanette Function. Jeanette Function. I practiced that one 4 times too. Jeanette volunteers at the St. Anne's Parish Office. Her efforts range from answering phones to helping with major projects, and she's always does so with a smile. She's an active member of our Green Thumb Garden Club and helps make and keep parish grounds beautiful. She's also a member of the St. Anne Parish School Board, and if you need something done, just ask her, and she's there. She's a treasure. Even with Denny taking too much time, we're moving through this. Our next nomination is by the St. John Lutheran Church, and the honoree is Andrew Banis. Andrew? Andy has put in countless hours of service for St. John's Church. His volunteer time has been spent painting, cleaning, cutting the grass, working on the Braille Bibles for mission work, assembling the monthly church newsletter, and anything he can do just to help out at the church. He has also served as an usher for over 40 years. His many years of dedicated service to the St. John's Church is greatly appreciated. All the fundraising efforts of the PTSA, such as selling taffy apples at football games, Gold C books, and entertainment books. She works hard to increase membership and to recruit parents for different functions. Mozilla volunteer service has been a real benefit to the TS South PTSA. Thank you. We're down to the last one. Do you want to do it? Our next nomination comes from Trinity Lutheran Church, and the honoree is Barbara Furmeyer. Barbara epitomizes the essence of the scripture verse, each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others. She knows she was put on this earth to make a contribution. Barbara looks upon everyone as her neighbor and loves them as God loves her. She serves the community of Lansing through the church of her childhood, Trinity Lutheran, as a leader in Altar Guild, Reach Out Services, Stewardship, Lydia Ministries, the Financial Review Board, and a myriad of other human care services. She is Trinity's unsung hero. Verse, each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others. She knows she was put on this earth to make a contribution. Barbara looks upon everyone as her neighbor and loves them as God loves her. She serves the community of Lansing through the church of her childhood, Trinity Lutheran, as a leader in Altar Guild, Reach Out Services, Stewardship, Lydia Ministries, the Financial Review Board, and a myriad of other human care services. She is Trinity's unsung hero.